believe house. Oh, we're about to have FUN, fun, because we're going to do Star Review 18. So a magical whiteboard appears. Let's start going on this. Remember, we're going to graph a parabola and identify the key attributes of that parabola. So on the first problem, we're going to graph x squared plus 2x minus 3. Now then, just as a review, on your formula chart, it says the axis of symmetry is negative b over 2a. Let's look at this. Our a is 1, our b is 2, and our c equals negative 3, doesn't it? So if I were to put negative fraction bar and a 2, my b is 2, and my a is 1, this would multiply and give me negative 1, wouldn't it? Our vertex should be at negative 1 comma something. Now then, let's go and graph this. So we're going to go to our calculator. We're going to go to home. We're going to hit B to graph. And then we're going to graph x squared plus 2x minus 3. So x squared plus 2x minus 3. X squared plus 2x minus 3. Hit enter. Bam, we got it. Now then, we need to trace to the vertex. So menu, trace is 5. Graph trace is 1. Notice we start off at our y-intercept, which is 0, negative 3. Hit the left arrow button 4 times, and bam, the minimum is negative 1, negative 4. Notice the x is negative 1 in it. That's going to be your axis of symmetry. So go to your paper, put negative 1, negative 4 right here. Remember the 0 was negative 3. Oh, I need to put the 0 here. 1. Make this negative 2, and make this negative 3. The 0 was negative 3. That means the 2 is going to be negative 3. Let's go back to our calculator, and let's trace to the left. So if I go to the left, the 0 is negative 3 in it. The other 0 is going to be the 1 in it. 1 comma 0, negative 3 comma 0, right? Those are our two zeros or our two solutions. So 0 and 0. Let's graph it. We got negative 3. Right here, we get a cool looking parabola that, like these parabolas do all your electronic devices, draw this dashed line. That dashed line is the axis of symmetry, and it's x equal negative 1, which is what we calculated right off at the beginning with it. So the zeros are going to be negative 3 and 1. The y-intercept was negative 3. The max or min, this is going to have a minimum because it has a bottom. The minimum value is negative 4. And remember, if it goes up, your range is going to be greater than. So the range is greater than that min value. And the axis of symmetry is x equals negative 1. Ho, 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 ho. F-U-N, fun. You're getting good at this. You're going to get better with the parabolas. You got to know all those key attributes. Let's go to number 10. On 10, 11, and 12, you are going to store, okay? So on number 10, our two letters are x and y. So we're going to go to the calculator, get to the calculator. We're going to hit home, and we're going to go to calculate. And then we're going to store 2 for x, 2 control variable x. And then we're going to store 3 for y. Okay, so we have 2 and 3 in, and now then we just type in the problem. 4x squared times, and then we got y to the negative 1, y, up arrow button, negative 1, hit the right arrow button to get out of the exponent, times, and then we have a y to the 4th, don't we? Y, up arrow button, or caret 4, hit enter, we get 432. Okay, so I'm going to go to my paper, and I'm going to put 432. That's what we get when we store, right? 432. Now then, I'm going to go through and do this by hand. The number has to be 4. That's the only big number I got. This one is wrong in it. It doesn't have 4. The next thing I know, the only x I have is x squared. It has to have x squared in it. That eliminates this and this. A's got to be the right choice. And then if you do negative 1 plus 4, that's where the 3 comes in. So let's try A. So we're going to go to our calculator. 4 times x squared times y, up arrow button or caret button 3, and then hit enter, and bam, I get 432, don't I? So the answer is going to be 432 in it. The answer, is choice A in it. So if you were to multiply and simplify that problem, you would get 4x squared times y cubed. It's the same thing, which is why store works. Let's go to number 11. Let's try to do this with our brains here. So we're going to bluebell truck or distribute 7x6. So we're going to take the 7x6 and we're going to bluebell truck it or distribute it to everything inside the parentheses, which are like the bluebell stores, right? Now then, let's multiply. 7 times 2 is 14. My letter is x. 1 plus 6 is 7. Plus 7 times 4 is 28. And I have an x. I have an exponent x, and my letter is y. That's what's going to happen if you were to multiply. Does this match up with one of them? Right here, doesn't it? So if I were to store this, it would be the same as this, okay? Don't forget, use store, okay? So you're going to store 2 for x and 3 for y, and you're just going to type in the two problems. These would be equal. The answer is going to be D, okay? Make sure you can store. Number 12. Okay, we're going to multiply here. Okay, I'm going to do the full method. You can do the box if you want to. I'm going to draw my arches, and then I'm going to draw my 3 blanks. This is the first, outside, inside, last. So 6x times 6x is 36x squared. It's got to start off with 36x squared, which means all of them work. Positive 7 times negative 8 is negative 56. It's got to end in a minus 56. These two are wrong. Now then, let's do the parentheses. 7 times 6 is a positive 42x. Negative 8 times 6 is a negative 48x. If I combine this, 48 is more than 42. I'm going to get a negative. 42 away from 48, 6x minus 6x in the middle. B is going to be it. You would store this with the calculator, right? If you did it on the calculator. You're going to store 2 for x, aren't you? Just type them in. It will match up. Okay, make sure you can do this with store. Number 13, unless they give you the answer choices, you cannot store. You got to do this by hand. So we want the factors of 12. I'm going to write down 12. It's 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. Remember, you can do 12 divided by x and hit Control T, can't you? So the number divided by x, Control T gives you all the factors. I want to add and get 7. That means the 3 and the 4 is going to work. I'm going to put 4 and 3. This sign goes to the 4. I need the 3 to be positive to add up, and this goes on the bottom. You just wrote down your factors. So your factors are x plus 4 and x plus 3. If you multiply that, you would get the original equation. They graph the same, and these factors help you give the zeros. The zeros would be negative 4, negative 3, wouldn't they? Go to the next one. We got 18. That's going to be 1 times 18, 2 times 9, and 3 times 6. We want to subtract to get 7. That's going to be the 2 and the 9. So I'm going to put 9 and 2. The minus goes to the 9. And I need the 2 to be positive to combine to 7. This goes on the bottom, x and x. Those are my factors, aren't they? X minus 9 and x plus 2. Ho, 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 ho. F-U-N, fun, fun, fun. Keep going on. On the next one, this 2 means you got to multiply. So 2 times 3 is 6. I made this pretty small, so it's easy. 1 times 6, 2 times 3. We need to add and get 5, so the 2 and the 3 are going to work, right? So put the 3 in the 2. This goes to the 3. The 2 needs to be positive to add up to 5. Now then, the 2x goes on the bottom. 2 and 3 don't divide, but these two, I can divide these by 2, can't I? This is going to turn into plus 1 over x. So my answer is going to be 2x plus 3 and x plus 1. Ho, 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 ho. F-U-N, fun, fun, fun. Let's go to 14. On 14, we got to do this on the calculator. So on 14, we're going to graph. And hit Control T, aren't we? Graph and hit Control T, right? So let's go to our calculator. Okay, I'm going to hit home. I'm going to go to B to graph. I've already got a graph. I'm going to delete, 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 delete. Ho, 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 ho. Then hit tab. Now then we're going to type in the problem. X squared minus x minus 5. Hit enter. And bam, I got our graph. Hit control. Now then, let's do control T. That gives us our table. And right here are the answers. So if I input 0, my answer is negative 5. If I input 1, my answer is negative 5. Notice none of these are equal to 0 on the right, are they? Okay, so the 0 is going to be a decimal answer on this, okay? So we're going to go to our paper. The 0 was what again? Was negative 5, right? The 1 was negative 5. The 2 was negative 3. The 3 was 1. And the 4 was 7. Notice between, if I made a T-chart on this, I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4. We have negative 5, negative 3, and 1, and 7. Somewhere between here is where the parabola crosses the x-axis, right? It's not a integer. This one doesn't factor. It's going to be a square root answer. Learned how to do that last week. So the domains that are 0, none of these are zeros, right? The 0 is actually going to be between the 2 and the 3. 2 point something would be your 0 if you were to graph it. Let's go to our calculator and we can find this. Hit Control T. And remember, we said it would be between 2 and 0, menu 5, 1, and I'm going to trace to that right 0 right there, 2.79. That's actually a square root value. So you would have to type in the square root value. You just learned this last week on the quadratic formula. But that would end up being a square root. Now then, let's keep going. So now we're on number 15. Remember, you cannot forget this. AX plus BY equals C. If we were to solve this for Y, the AX would go over, and then you would divide by B. You would get Y equal negative A over B plus C over B. This right here is your slope. So your slope is negative A over B. You can't forget that. So let's look at this one. The A is 1, the B is 2, the opposite of a positive is a negative. That's my slope. The x-intercept is negative 4 divided by 1. So negative 4 divided by 1 is negative 4. The y-intercept is negative 4 divided by 2, which is negative 2. C divided by C divided by B is the y-intercept. C divided by A is the x-intercept. Y'all have got to get this down. We're probably going to do another doodle notes on it. On the next one, my slope's going to be 3 over 2. The opposite of a negative is a positive, so my slope's 3 over 2. Now then, 5 divided by 3 is my x-intercept. 5 divided by negative 2 is my y-intercept. Those would be decimal values, wouldn't they, if we graphed and trace this. On the next one, 2 over 5 is my slope. On the next one, 3 over 4 is my slope. And remember, the points are opposite. So the opposite of negative 1 is a positive 1. The opposite of a positive 3 is negative 3. So my slope is going to be, or my point would be 1 comma negative 3. They're not going to put the positive, are they? Ho, 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 ho. Continuing on. On the next one, 5 to the negative 2. Okay, we're going to go to our calculator, hit home, hit A to calculate, and I'm going to hit 5 caret negative 2. Remember, the negative exponent does not make this negative. 5 times 5 is 25, but this is saying the 25 shouldn't be in the numerator, it should be in the denominator. This should equal to 1 over 25, and it does. Okay, so let's write this down so you can get this. This right here is going to turn into 1 over 5 squared. The negative means it moves across the fraction bar, which turns into 1 over 25. So remember, if you have a negative exponent, you move the base across the fraction bar, just like the next problem. Okay, so right here we have x squared. I'm going to put 2 x's. My y to the negative 3 is going to go to the bottom. So I need 3 y's on the bottom. My x to the negative 3 goes to the top. And my y to the 0 is just 1. I don't need it. Whatever's left is the answer. So notice I got 5 x's. That's x to the 5th. And I got y to the cubed. This is the same as this. You could store this and get the answer if it were multiple choice, because it's the same thing, okay? Go to the next one. The x to the negative 1 moves to the bottom. The y squared stays on top. The x to the 5 stays on bottom. And the y to the negative 2 is going to go to the top. Notice, all the y's are on top. All the x's are on bottom, aren't they? I got 4 y's on top, and I got, what, 6 x's on bottom? Piece of cake. This and this are the same thing. If I stored x and y as 2 and 3, they would equal each other. If it were multiple choice, you could do this with store. Go to the next one. This is just typing it into the calculator. So we're going to do 125 to the 2/3. So 125, you have to hit the up button. Now we have to hit Control Divide to get the fraction, don't we? Now that I'm going to put 2 and 3, hit enter, and notice I get 25. Basically, the cube root of 125 is 5, and 5 to the second power is 25. You'll learn how that works after Staar, okay? So this is equal to 25. Fun, fun, fun. On the next one, we need to use a spreadsheet. On your benchmark, you did spreadsheet after spreadsheet after spreadsheet. So let's put this into a spreadsheet. We're going to hit Home. We want a new document. We don't want to save anything. We're going to add a spreadsheet 4, and then we need to put X and Y at the top. Okay, now then, you're going to type in the X's, which is 4, 10, and 20. And then the Y's are 4.2, 6.3, and where am I at? 8.8. Make sure that's right. 4.2, 6.3. Yep. $4.20, $6.30, $8.80. The blue box has to be not on a number. Make sure the blue box is not on a number. Now then, menu 413, X down, Y down, enter. Menu 413, X down, Y down, enter. So menu, statistics, stack calculations is 1, linear regressions is 3, X down, Y down, enter. Bam! My M is 0.28, and I obviously did that wrong. I did not, 4, 10, and 20. I did not do this right when I did the calculations. Okay, so we're going to round this to the 100, like money. Notice also that this is not a perfect line, is it? Because the R is 0.999. That means not every dot's on the line. So when I made this table up, I messed up on one of the calculations, okay? So we're going to use 0.28 for M. So M is 0.28. And B, we're just going to round this like money. B is going to be, we need to round the 1, it's going to round to 2. 3.22, right? 3.22. Okay, so the slope would be 0.28, which would be $0.28 per gizzard. Right here, function of. Y is a function of X. So our Y is X and our function is gizzards. Your slope is always Y per X. Y per X. And then lastly, 50 gizzards, 0.28 times 50 plus 3.22. Let's put that in the calculator. So 0.28, I'm going to hit home and A. 0.28 times 50 plus, it was 3.22. So the slope is 0.28, the water, or the starting amount, the cost of the drink was $3.22. Hit enter, it's going to be $17.22. That sounds like a good dinner. Dipping those gizzards and livers in country gravy. Turn the page. Okay, number 18. This is huge. These problems are monster, okay? Okay, so he purchased a 20-ounce slushy, and he's drinking it at a rate of 5 ounces Y per X. Okay, so our slope is 5, and we start off with the 20-ounce slushy. Remember, it's GX plus S, but the amount of slushy won't go up, it will go down, so our slope is negative. So the slope is negative 5, and it represents 5 ounces per minute. Remember, this is y per x, so our y is ounces and our x is minutes. Usually the x is time. Now then, we start off at 20, so I'm just going to put a dot sub up here and put 20. How many minutes will it take you to drink the slushie? So you're going to take the 20 and divide it by the growing number, right? It's the starting number divided by the growing number. That gives you the x-intercept, which is going to be 4. So at 4 minutes, I'm going to drink all my slushie, and it's going to continually go down in it. Put a 0 here. From here to here is your domain, and from here to here is your range in it. Okay, that is huge. So your domain is going to go from 0 to 4. Your range is going to go from 0 to 20. So let's go over here. What's the y-intercept? It's 20. That's the initial amount of slushie, right? That's your starting number, okay? I'm just going to put the initial amount. This is your starting amount, though, right? The x-intercept is 4. At 4 minutes, you run out of drink, right? 4 minutes equals 0 slushie. That's the 0 of the function. At 4 minutes, if you input it, you don't have any slushie left. The domain is going to be the number of minutes. It goes from 0 to 4. You put x in the middle, and then you use less than or equals, don't you? The range is going to be the ounces. It goes from 0 to 20. You put y in the middle, and then you put less than or equal to's, okay? So you put the smallest to the biggest, you put x or y in the middle, less than or equal to's, okay? Piece of cake. Continuing on to 21. Going to put these into InSolve, okay? So we're just going to do InSolve, which is InSolve is menu 3-1, right? That's your algebraic and then numerical solve, okay? So we're going to go to our calculator. We're going to hit menu 3, algebra, numerical solve is 1. And then we're going to type in 5 parentheses, x plus 2, close the parentheses equals, and then I need 3 parentheses, 1 plus x, parentheses, 1 plus x, close the parentheses. Now then, I got to put comma x or it won't work, will it? So comma x, bam, I got it in here, hit enter, and shazam! It's negative 3.5. That's what you'll put into the calculator, okay? Or on the test, negative 3.5. It's probably going to have you type in the numerical answer for the equation. Continuing on, another InSolve. So go to your calculator, hit menu 3-1, and then type in the problem. So we have a negative parentheses 3x minus 5 close parentheses equals a negative 3 and then parentheses 4x plus 4 close the parentheses and then minus 6 comma x. Notice I got the whole equation in that I put comma x. The x is still inside the parentheses. Hit enter. Shazam. Negative 2.566. Did I put this in right? Negative 3x. Ooh, it should be negative 3x minus 6. Let me change it. Hit the up button twice. Hit enter. And I'm going to make that 5 a 6. That should be 3x minus 6. Sorry about that. Hit enter. Still giving me that. Times negative 3. 4x plus 4 minus 6. Negative 3x minus 6 equals. Yes, this is going to be it. Now then, y'all watch what I'm going to do here. I'm going to hit this. I'm going to hit Control C. Okay, that copies the 2.66. And then I'm going to go down to here, Control V. Paste it. Now then, menu 2, enter. The negative 2.666 is going to end up being negative 8 over 3. It'll be, if it's multiple choice, that's what it's going to be on Staar. So this is a negative 8 over 3, okay? So you got to copy and paste that decimal to make it a fraction. Let's go to here. On this right here, we're going to put this into a spreadsheet. And we want to write this equation. So let's go to our calculator. We're going to hit home. We want a new document. Don't ever save anything. 4. And then we type in x and y, don't we? Okay, and our 2 points are -3 and 6 for the x's. And my y's are -7 and 8. Okay, so I got my points in. Menu 4, 1, 3, x down, y down, enter. Menu, statistics, stat calculation, linear regression, x down, y down, enter. Bam. Now that my slope is a decimal in it, I need to make it a fraction. My y-intercept's -2. So I'm going to go back here and write down b equals -2. But I need to change that decimal to a fraction, don't I? So I'm going to hit Control-C to copy, hit Home and A, and then Control-V to paste, and then Menu, 2, 2, Enter, and bam, I get 5/3, don't I? So my slope is going to be 5/3. Is it negative or positive? It's positive, okay? So 5/3 is my slope. That means my equation is y equal 5/3x minus 2. Ho, 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 ho. Going on. It goes through this point. Sorry about that. Let it zoom back in. Goes through this point. This is my x, this is my y, and is parallel to this. So remember, our slope is a over b, which is 2/1. The opposite of the negative is a positive, so my slope is 2. Okay? My slope is 2. It's parallel. It won't change. That's my m. I'm going to write down y equal mx plus b. My y is 5. My m is 2 times my x is 5. And I do not know what the b is. You're going to put that into NSolve and solve for b. I could do it in my brain, okay? So if I did this in my brain, b would equal to -5. So the equation would be y equal 2x minus 5. Fun, fun, fun. Let's go to the next one. It's parallel to this, that's x and y, and it's perpendicular to this. So write down your slope. We got to find the perpendicular slope. We flip, don't we? So the opposite of a negative is a positive 2/3. This is going to be my m. So I'm going to write down y equal mx plus b. My y is 2. My m is 2/3. And my x is 9 plus b. And you're going to solve that in NSolve for b, aren't you? Please do this on the calculator. To save time, I'm just doing this in my brain. So 2/3 times 9 is 6. Move the 6 over, you get -4. So b is going to end up being -4. The equation would be y equal 2/3x minus 4. Ho, 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 ho. F-U-N, fun, fun, fun. Okay, keep going. Okay, right here, we need to graph these. These are both solved for y. So we're going to graph them and find the intersection point. So go to your calculator, hit home. We're going to graph b. And now then delete, delete, delete. Think of something bad. Delete it out. Tab. And we have -x plus 3. And then we're going to hit tab again. And we have x plus 1. Now then we're going to do menu. We're going to analyze the graph 6. And we want to find the intersection 4. I'm going to hit the button right here. And I'm going to trace. I got to do it again. Menu. Analyze graph 6. And then intersection 4. Right here. I'm going to touch it. They go across. Do it again. Menu. 6. 4. Touch it. They go across. Touch it again right here. 1, 2 is my intersection point. So go to your paper. And Jiminy Crickets. 1, 2 is where the intersection happens. Go to the next one. Okay, what we're going to do on the next one, we're going to store these for x and y and then type them into the equation. One of them is going to be true. Let me see which one's true so I can save time here. That one won't work. 2 and -5. That one won't work. -5 and 1. It's got to be 2. Yeah, so let's try C. So let's try C. So on our calculator, we're going to go to home. And we're going to calculate. Now then, we're going to start with C, okay? So we're going to do 2. Where's it? Yeah, 2 is going to be our x. Control variable x. Hit enter. And then negative 1 is going to be your y. Control variable y. So what I did is I stored one of those intersection points. That point will make both the equations true. Now then, let's type in the first equation. Negative 3x minus 8y equals 2. It should say true. Ding, 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 ding. The other one should also be true. So negative 2x plus 4y equals, is it 8? Negative 8. This should also be true. Ding, 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 ding. Do you see how that point made both of them true? So you're going to store the answer choices. Type them into the problem until you get a true, okay? So the answer to this problem right here is C, 2 comma negative 1. Let's keep going. Okay, on the next one right here, I'm going to find the answer before I start plugging these in to save time. That one won't work. 12 plus 6, that one works. 12, 4, that one won't work. 3, that one won't work. 24 minus 18 won't work. Negative 2, that one works. 4, that one doesn't work. I think I've messed up on this. 8, 36, this one does not work. Okay, so I do not have the right answer on this one. So the answer choices are wrong. Let's graph. Okay, y'all listen, to graph this, you're going to move the x over. So y is going to be 6x plus 12 all over 6. This goes on the bottom. So the x flips, the y goes on the bottom. We're going to get y equal 2x plus 4 over negative 12. So we're going to graph both those lines. So I'm going to go to my calculator because I did not do the problems right. Hit home. And then we're going to graph. Hit delete, delete, delete. Now then hit tab. Hit control divide to get the fraction in. And we're going to graph that first line, which is going to be 6x plus 12 on top. Yeah, plus 12. Then on the bottom, I'm going to have a positive 6. Hit enter. I got this line. Now then I'm going to hit tab. Hit control divide again. And then I'm going to type in 2x plus 4. And then the bottom is going to be negative 12. Hit enter, and bam, there's my intersection point right here. So I'm going to do menu, the analyze graph, and then I want the 4, I want the intersection. So I'm going to go over here, click, go across, click, negative 2 comma 0. Okay, so negative 2 comma 0, this would work right here, okay? This one right here would have been the answer, okay? And it sure does, well, yeah, it does work, okay? Negative 2 comma 0 would have worked on that one if we would have stored it, okay? We're almost done, okay? On this one right here, you need to remember, if this is negative, it reflects. This makes it narrower or wider. This is left or right. This is up or down. You just got to remember this stuff. The negative is going to reflect across x-axis. The 2 is going to make it, it's going to be a vertical stretch. It's going to make it thinner. And then remember, if you have a number in a parentheses, write the opposite. This is going to be a horizontal shift left 4. Ho, 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 ho. Let's do the next one. The next one is not reflected. It's not shifted. The opposite of this is 5. So this is a horizontal shift right 5. And it's going to be a vertical shift up 1. Okay, basically your vertex is 5 comma 1. You're moving your vertex from the origin to 5 comma 1. Right here, the 1/2 is going to make it wider. That's a vertical compress. There is no parentheses. We are not moving this left or right, and it's moving up 4. So we have a vertical shift up 4. Ho, 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 ho. We are almost done. Okay, these problems right here, all we got to do is get the axis of symmetry. Remember, if you have a parabola, get the vertex, the axis of symmetry is x equal the x of your vertex, right? So we just got to find the vertex and get the x. Okay, so right here, put negative fraction bar and put a 2, or b and our B is negative 10 and our A is 1. 2 negatives makes a positive, and then 10 divided by 2 is 5. And then if you were to graph this, 25 minus 50 is negative 25. It's going to be a negative 9. But this right here is going to be your axis of symmetry, x equals 5. All you got to do is get the vertex, the x of the vertex is your axis of symmetry. Okay? Look at the next problem. Our axis of symmetry is negative 1, 3. That negative 1 turns, or the vertex. The vertex is negative 1, 3, and the axis of symmetry is the x of that vertex. Don't ever forget that. Right here, our vertex would be negative or positive 2, negative 3. The x of your vertex turns into the axis of symmetry. Piece of cake. Don't mess this up. And then on the last one, remember what I taught you to do. You're going to draw a box that contains the graph. Your range is going to go from here to here. So my range goes from negative 4 to 3. My x in the middle, the negative 4 has an open dot. It doesn't get an equal bar. The 3 has a closed bar. It gets an equal bar. My range goes from negative 2 to 4. So put negative 2 and 4. Put y in the middle. They both are at a top or bottom, so they're both going to get equal bars. You always use less thans. We have finished Star Review 18. Ho, 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 ho. And it's been F-U-N, fun, fun, fun. You're going to do wonderful. Keep believing in who you are. You got this. You are amazing. You are created to do wonderful things. And you are awesome.